So yeah, someone was just mentioning rounded knuckles. I wanted to try a slightly squarish look, but yeah, maybe making these kind of like rounded squares could work. My drawing is getting really sloppy because I think I go faster on live streams for whatever reason because I want to keep it snappy and talk while I'm drawing, so I don't actually maybe pay quite as much attention as I normally would. That finger looks really bad though. So it's okay. I mean, could do that sort of thing too, but then it's hard to tell what it is. Honestly, unless I go back to like the one of these boxing gloves, the way to do it might be to show the inside with the thumb curling around instead. Like that. Then I can make giant knuckles like this. Maybe I should just do 4. I kind of like to do 3 on icon stuff like this because it's just like easier to easier to see, like not as cluttered. But I mean, it definitely looks more like a fist. I don't know if it looks more like a gauntlet. Yeah, I mean, that's just getting too fist-like. So I think it's between these two. So anyway, I'll think about that later. I don't know why. Well, drawing hands is just hard in general. I don't know why this is proving to be quite so hard though. But I have one more idea I want to try here really quick. Because I kind of like how this one looks just a little bit. But it needed a little extra work. So if we put the thumb back on the side like this, I mean, it sort of looks more like a gripping hand. And I could also do that, but again, I don't know if that actually helps. Okay, anyway. Let's see, we've got some links here. What's going on? Got some Battle Chaser gloves and a fire gauntlet from Terraria. Actually, I'd like to read Battle Chasers. I remember seeing it in a comic store when I was a kid, and never actually read any of it. I think it's kind of hard to find the omnibus right now, but actually, there are a couple of pretty good ideas in here, like having some kind of a plate-looking thing on the back of the glove. So maybe going back to this sort of look, but doing something like that. So a curved piece. That might be the ticket right there. Just so you still have a finger, but there's a separate plate. It's a little detailed compared to some of the other weapons, but yeah. It kind of now looks like a three-eyed alien smiley face. Like, hi guys, I'm an alien. uh, I don't know. This is probably getting really boring. Okay, let's drop that for now. I've made more gauntlets than any other weapon I was trying to draw on here, but we are kind of getting into the slightly more the atypical weapons, I guess. So it's probably to be expected that they would be more difficult. Well, one more thing I could consider doing is I think I kind of made this more complicated by turning the hand at this sort of 3/4 angle where you can see the side of it like that. I mean, the claws, like, they're kind of 3/4, but they could still be seen as like a totally like top down kind of thing. So maybe what I need to do with this is go back one sort of one stroke and simplify. And just put a thumb. The thumb could just be like a little bit that sticks out like that, or sits right there. By the way, the office is really quiet today. Actually, I'm the only one here right now because there is a not a horrible, but like a pretty decently annoying cold going around Springfield, and I have been I guess the one person in the universe who has somehow managed not to catch it. So yeah, that is why maybe you can't tell, but it's actually very empty and quiet in here today. It's actually a really nice kind of drizzly autumn day. Leaves have really been turning here in Springfield. But, so, I don't know, guys. This gauntlet thing. Screw this gauntlet. I'm getting annoyed. Okay, let's talk about some guns. Okay, so there are probably going to be three very slightly different types of guns in the game. Some that shoot bullets like a rifle, which I think we're just going to call firearms. If Photoshop will catch up and let me type. Come on, type tool, hurry up. And then we have the blunderbusses, which are basically shotguns. I think that's what we last called them. There are actually a few odd names for those, historically speaking, and I forget what they all are. Yeah, so we have firearms, blunderbuss, and mortars. So a mortar would be kind of like our version of an old school, like ancient grenade launcher. So now I just need to figure out how to make these. I want to keep them actually fairly similar in the overall shape, so you can tell, oh, each of these is a gun, but you can tell like that they have a slightly different shot pattern. So obviously pretty easy for the rifle. Just give it a thin barrel. And I'll probably make it a little bit longer. So we aren't going to have like a long sort of two-hand rifle in the game just because the animation system doesn't, well, we could do it, it would just be super annoying, but I mean basically like having the other hand wrapped around, we're trying to avoid that completely, so you can basically pull the shield up and, you know, whip the gun out above it sort of thing. So for the mortar, I'm probably going to make a short but very fat barrel. And then we need to make some other changes here in a second. So I'm thinking about making the mortar really boxy. And maybe we'll give it some kind of like a fuse looking thing here rather than a hammer. think I'll make the body a little bigger on this guy. So all the guns, like I was saying, will have this, the same sort of overall shape. So you can tell immediately that each of these is a gun. And I might do something something with the side of it here to make it kind of look like, what kind of round does it carry? So this with something that's kind of like almost looks like a cannonball or, something like that. And this we should probably make it a little thinner. Or a little more pistol-like in a way. That works kind of well. Leveling off the top. Probably just put this right in the center. I mean, it won't obviously line up with the barrel, but I'm kind of okay with that. I mean, it just looks like, here's the here's where you would load the gun, like, it's sort of a chamber in a way, or almost like a piece of a revolver. And then we've got the blunderbuss, which I think is probably pretty good. Might recenter this up a little bit. Yeah, the blunderbuss, I want to look big and goofy and kind of like a, I don't know, like a duck bill or something. Just flares out at the end. And maybe I'll make a smaller hammer for this, or a chunkier hammer, so it doesn't look exactly like the rifle. Probably should have saved one of the originals, but so now I'm wondering about putting some kind of dots in here to almost look like a double barrel kind of thing, but maybe not. Could do something like that to signify the like the fact that the blunderbuss would shoot kind of a a shot like a shotgun, so it it would be a spread shot of multiple little bullets. So red to illustrate the gun pattern. Yeah, actually that I should totally look at your comment. Yeah, probably. So yeah, I could do something on these where I'd have to probably trim this barrel down, but do this kind of thing. I think is what Andrew Dewar, one of my old friends from college, and worked at the same company. He actually got me my, more or less got me my first job working on games. So so you guys have the Dewar on here to thank for many things. And yeah, so something like that possibly, or I should probably just make it actually look like it's shooting out. So something like this. So maybe something like this. Probably needs a little more work on my end, but I'm probably also going to take all of these and rotate them to 45 degrees when we're done, so I could do something like with it. It starts getting a little complicated maybe, so I will think on that one more as well. So, actually, let me save this just in case we have a crash or some garbage. Okay, let's see. What else did I need to do? I think that was most of it, actually. Yeah, I did the Falling Star, Killing Tools, Differentiated Gauntlets and Claws. Yeah, I think that was probably everything. I need to do traps. Traps probably wouldn't really be a weapon type. I've got mines right above that, but it gets really fuzzy. Like what's a trap, what's a weapon, what's an item, all those sorts of things. But probably just going to make this trap look like a bear trap. And I'm going to run out of room really fast. Traps covering things like caltrops, probably yes. It would basically be anything that you drop that just causes like spike damage or whatever when you walk over it. So yeah, something like a caltrop looking set of spikes like that might also be applicable. We'll see how this turns out, and maybe I'll do caltrops instead. Yeah, I mean, I don't know if it's going to look very much like a bear trap when I'm done, is kind of what I realized. I thought it would be fine. I mean, it might still look like a trap, you know, it's got spikes. Looks like it would hurt if you stepped on it, but um, maybe if I curve the ends up a little bit, it might look a little more bear trap like. I mean, really, like, you'd probably want to do the hinge and whatnot. I'm just not convinced that this is the best approach, maybe. As I go, these are starting to get more complicated. Because I guess maybe I just did the easy icons first. Yeah, I'd like to keep them all with the same level of complexity. So yeah, well, I mentioned how Doer more or less like introduced me to video game development. Kind of got me my first contract position, which turned into a full-time job. But yeah, I would probably just be making icons like this if I hadn't gotten that part-time contract right after college. I was looking for graphic design jobs. Was kind of wanting to move to Minneapolis, maybe, or Seattle. Like, I was looking around at graphic design firms and was just trying to, was kind of having trouble both getting my website finished with my portfolio to apply, and because I'm still not an expert at all at web development. I barely dabble, but yeah, so I was living in my sister's apartment while she was away from the summer, making video games, which I thought would just end up being a part-time thing, and working on my graphic design portfolio and website in the summer of 2006. So yeah, like, I was about to make some comment about like how, you know, being a graphic designer, like I become, I guess, really hyper detail oriented on stuff like this, you know, making sure all the stroke weights are the same and the complexity of all the symbols is the same, and et cetera, et cetera. And I'm just kind of, I guess, very detail oriented and structure oriented anyway, but I kind of design that way too. So I don't know. That's kind of a cool looking trap. I mean, it's a little more detailed than some of the other stuff with all the multiple spikes. Because yeah, the mine, very simple compared to that trap. So I might just condense the number of spikes. See where that gets us. Or I could just do it top down too. Basically just do like a, you know, spike, spike, spike. I don't think that'll be very clear though. Yeah, that's not really going to work. Could eliminate one of those spikes and make that a continuous piece, maybe. Or could also simplify this bar in the middle. I mean, I still like this original, but yeah, I just need to figure out a good way to lower the complexity. Maybe just maybe the way the spikes are built is just too complex. So if I fill them in for the moment here. No, I don't want to fill the whole page. Photoshop, settle down. And then we just do a something like just a curve. Still a little detailed compared to the other items and things, but I kind of like this look. I might round those just a little bit. Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, I mean, reading the comments, like I think this looks more like a bear trap than this does. I like the shaping on it, like it fits with the other weapons and things better, but let's go ahead and connect that centerpiece there. Let's just unify that a little bit. So, trying this suggestion of maybe curving the blades. Yeah, I think it's going to be hard to get away with doing less than 3 blades on a side, because you kind of need those to make it seem like, well, like blades or teeth. Um, and well, and then there's, yeah, like I guess these wouldn't interlock. Um, so that's a little better. Just kind of unifying the pieces a little bit more like that. Um, I don't know why, like this. Well, like I said, that maybe these are just the weird ones, but this last set of weapons that I've been working on has taken way longer than, and I've gone through way more iterations than the other ones did. But I think they're just a little harder to make recognizable. So, I mean, I think that's pretty good. We've still got the caltrop option in our back pocket. I'll just draw something for that really quick, just in case. Yeah, I mean, I think it would be kind of cool, like doing that sort of thing, but it could also look like throwing stars or something else. I think my doodle was actually a little better than these. I mean, maybe like it being just more like points like that as opposed to um, what seems more like spikes. Like, that kind of thing, I guess, makes me think more of a caltrop. I don't know why. Like, I guess it kind of seems more three-dimensional, maybe. Because if you and maybe I'll have this wrong, but for anyone who doesn't know what a caltrop is, it was I mean, I guess like there was a ninja sort of Japanese variant, and they used them in Europe too. But it was basically like a jack, if you've ever played jacks, where it's like a four-pointed spike sort of thing. So no matter, like, if you drop it on the ground, no matter which way it falls with a point facing up. Um, so you get, like, if this is the ground, kind of these three tripod legs and a point. So it's basically just forms a triangular prism or pyramid, sort of like three-sided pyramid type shape. Um, so, question about blast balls. Yeah, so basically, grenades, bombs, and blast balls, all kind of similar things. A blast ball would be, I mean, basically like a baseball-sized ball that if you throw it and it hits something, it does instantaneous damage. It would be kind of like a small explosion, or like basically it's less explosive than a grenade. It's meant for like one small target, and so you could throw a blast ball and it would cause like instantaneous, like, crushing damage. It's like it was made out of metal. Or something, or you could have a blast ball that actually, like, catches something on fire, but it's not going to do an area of effect explosion the way a grenade would. And blast balls are going to do, like, whatever damage they do on contact, and then they're gone. A grenade, there might be some kinds where you throw them and they, like, bounce off of something and have a timer and then explode. Bombs are going to be very similar to grenades, but, like, very short range, and they have like they all have a timed fuse. So grenades are kind of this in between, like, you throw them and they explode much farther away from you, where a bomb, you're going to kind of like toss like a foot away from you and run away and wait for it to blow up. So grenades much more offensive, bombs more for like kind of like leaving a trap as you're running away, or a set it down to blow through a barricade or something like that. So again, it's like the variance is minor, so that's why I made them look so similar to each other. But so kind of like the guns, they all look very similar. They're all obviously guns, but when you get one and look at it in the menu, you'll be able to tell what kind of variety it is, or what it shoots, and so on. So again, like claws and gauntlets, very very small difference. They're both short range, but one is like crushing and knocks enemies back, and one is raking. So. There aren't any blast balls in the game right now, if I'm understanding your question. But yeah, so this would be what I was talking about, if Photoshop will cooperate. So someone mentioned boomerangs way earlier too. I have this kind of throne crushing category, which could be boomerangs and bolos. So I made it kind of boomerang shaped, but with these weights on it for kind of a bolo type of thrown weapon. We could also have like bladed boomerangs in the thrown slashing category. I mean, again, all these like kind of go together. So. And these have the lines behind them to mean that they're meant to be thrown. Like basically, when you use them by like throwing them by just pressing the item button. Everything else on here, if you press the item button or your normal attack button, you use them rather than throwing them out of your inventory. So I guess like bombs would be. Bombs and mines and traps would be kind of the middle case, where you're tossing them out of your inventory, but you're just like setting them on the ground. You're not like throwing them across the room. So I might need a different sort of symbol for those. So if we take this. And I'm just going to make kind of a down arrow on here. So this signifies, how they're used, obviously. And most weapons are just going to be blank because, well, you whack stuff with them. But I probably also, damn it, need to need to put something like the projectile indicators for guns on wands and things like that. So that may be a next step to think about. I mean, basically, this is going to become a sort of the icon system that pops up in menus in the game, and we'll also use them on the on the any manual strategy guide wiki, like that kind of stuff. But the idea being to glean as much information about the weapon immediately and visually without having to read a gigantic list of stats about it. So if you get a bomb that looks really funky and is like, I don't know, made out of conch shells and seaweed, but it's, you know, some kind of oceanic bomb, it's like, I mean, how would you know that if it's so funky looking? Well, you just pop open your menu, like, oh, it's the bomb icon. I know it's a bomb. Like, so. And especially with randomization, we're going to end up with some swords and things that look pretty funky. So hopefully the system will be helpful. So I might just make a generic sort of background symbol like these that that signifies the type of projectile or the sort of field of effect for projectiles. So I could use that on the guns and wands and so on. Actually, there's not supposed to be anything else there. So that looks kind of similar to Throne, but I'll probably work on those more later. Yeah, I was thinking like, I mean, I talked about maybe rotating all these to 45 degrees, and then I could do a, you know, something in the background like, you know, like that to show fire pattern. Where are my layers? Let's see, toss it in here so it just affects there we go. So I could do something like that maybe. Or we could make it taper on one end, like that. Could be kind of cool. So I'd probably do the same thing on the gun if I did it this way. And just to show you guys, I had been working on some colored sort of fields in the background to show like, oh, these are, you know, that's crushing. This would, well, they're all in the wrong place now, but this purple, like either the purple or the blue would be slashing. I think the purple works a little better. Let's turn off auto select. So something like that. So this green would be piercing, orange is crushing, so this sort of downward crush. Yeah, then I need something for explosive, which would obviously be like an outward sort of explosive area. Let's see, I'll catch up on comments here. I need folders. Yeah. I mean, I only organize files if I know other people are going to be using them, and then I usually just like click on what I need. I'm sort of lazy at Photoshop in that respect. So, I mean, I think this kind of makes sense that like, let's see, I don't label things either, so now I'm going to have to figure out, okay, so this is piercing. And I want to duplicate this for the bow. So this would be an example of, you know, maybe what the icon for a bow would look like in its final form. Let's see. And I need to rotate that a little bit because it's not really on the 45. So that's a possibility. I mean, maybe I would make this semi-transparent or something, or I could take piercing and rotate it to 45 degrees as well, since the weapon is pointing that way. Like that. That actually works pretty well. So the symbol starts getting a bit complex because of all the pieces, but since piercing is so faded in the background, that might actually work. So basically, yeah, you've got three pieces of information here. You know what kind of weapon it is, even if you didn't see the word bow. You know that it shoots a direct projectile due to the red streak, and then you know that it's piercing due to this slightly, like I'll actually turn this up a little bit, this kind of lightly colored pastelish symbol or field in the background. And then the only other thing you need to know is range. And so I hadn't really put a lot of thought into range, but one thing I was considering was putting sort of like a ring or something around this symbol to show how big of a range it has, or possibly just the size of the symbol itself. But I mean, adding another ring would make this fairly cluttered, so we might just make a separate symbol or something of that nature. So I'm going to try something here. So I mean, that could be the symbol for a bow. And if we wanted to show that a knife was short-ranged, we could do something like, basically put like a very small lighter dot in the center and make this outer dot the darker color. So yeah, unfortunately you don't really see that dot underneath the piercing symbol. Well, I've got a few more things to think about. I mean, we're actually getting close to 5 o'clock, so I've been going for a couple hours here. So we'll probably shut down. If you guys have any other questions, go ahead and ask now. I might keep working a little bit and just see if there are any questions for the next 5 minutes, but then we'll close down after that. So, ask away. I think I'll probably get rid of all this junk, because I'm going to end up putting items and potions over here on the right at some point. Pizza or Mexican food? For me or for you? Because I can't eat pizza. I'm allergic to everything in pizza. So, or, well, intolerant maybe, but yeah. So I don't, like, my throat doesn't swell up, but I definitely do not feel well if I eat cheese or wheat. So, no pizza for me, thank you. maybe I'll switch these. Put the dark color inside and the light color outside. I mean, I think that's a little better, really. See how it works on the bow. Oh, actually, I just goofed that up, didn't I? Supposed to do light color outside here. There we go. I mean, I don't know if that's really distinguishable enough that it's worth doing the circles for range like that. I mean, you'll get some kind of number readout anyway. And that's going to be one of my steps, hopefully kind of soon, is to work on at least like a wireframe mockup of what does the sort of weapon stat readout look like in your menu. I want it to be like very streamlined, but at the same time give you a lot of information so you know pretty much everything you'd want to know about the weapon. So you need to know some sort of speed rating, its range. You're not going to get every bit of data in the spreadsheet because I think there are over 60 parameters on any given weapon. We've got parameters in here for the categories that apply to everything within their category. So there's, how do you use them? Do they stack? Do they have ammo? What categories do they pull randomization from, et cetera, and then you've got like all the nitty-gritty stuff in the weapon file itself. So so for a stabber, which would be a knife, how much? This is just imaginary, but how much damage does it do? What is its speed for wind up, execution, retract? How much knockback does it do? And this list goes on and on for quite a while. Then we get into like more kind of ridiculous things like projectiles and effects. So passive effects when you use them. What does it do when you do a charged attack or a combo finale? Coming up with how to implement combos was actually pretty tricky. Basically, how it's going to have to work is a combo is essentially like 3 of the same attack. So we're not going to be able to do like slash, overhand, and stab with a sword. It's theoretically possible, but it's just going to become like a scripting nightmare. So what we're going to do is have a separate combo sheet that basically lists what happens on your, like how many strikes is it, and then do you speed up as you slash, so like whoosh, 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 or do you slow down, which is more likely like and there's some big finale strike on that last hit, or are they all just the same? But I think the thing that makes a combo attack interesting in a game is like that it varies your the sort of speed and area of effect of an attack, even though you're pressing the same button. So right now in our game, it's actually pretty repetitive because every time you swing the sword, it's just like and there's a maximum speed that you can swing it at. But if we did something where like pressing it 4 times does this, and then the last strike does additional knockback to an enemy, like it gives the player a lot of it makes it much more interesting, even though you're just mashing that same button. So this was the easiest way I could figure out to script it, where you basically have for everything that a combo can modify, from your critical chance to how much damage your critical does, to your speed to how much knockback on your last stroke. Basically, you just have a starting value and ending value, and probably what this would actually do, I would probably remove the starting value, because really your starting value is just your base weapon parameters, and you just go up from there. So every strike would either get faster or slower, and you just go from out of how many strikes, so it's a 4-hit combo. You just start with your base stats and then get faster over the next 4 up to your kind of maximum that's assigned for this combo script. So anyway, so I guess that's one little last tidbit. that I wasn't really planning on talking about, but it kind of makes sense to talk about now. So yeah, this sheet definitely needs a little more work. It'll actually get smaller, I guess, just because I can delete all these starting and leave the ending. So, no more questions? Is everyone falling asleep? I feel like I want to be asleep because daylight savings time being over, it gets dark at like 5 o'clock, 5:30 here, which is really weird. So, yes, thank you. I'm pretty excited about combos or being able to do them at some point as well. Um, Come to Arizona. Well, actually, I like daylight savings time because it means that the sun sets later, and I'm kind of a night owl anyway, so I'm okay with the sun the sun rising later in the day and setting later in the day, because that's more my natural schedule. Um, so okay, Doomspeaker had a question about criticals. So there's a possibility that we could make weapons that do a random amount of damage within a minimum and maximum range. I talked to Kobe about this the other day. It would be used very, 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 very sparingly. Um, but let's see. Actually, I don't have it in here. Um, let's see. I only have your primary type of damage and individual kind of damage amounts. So actually, I might need to add a sort of min-max kind of thing in here. Totally forgot about that, so that reminded me. So these properties, it would basically be totally random. Just like on any given hit, it could do between, like, let's just set these. We'll just imagine that this is a let's make this stabber. This would be a fury weapon. Just so it normally does 4 damage total. So 2 damage in the piercing category, 2 damage in the fury category. But let's say since it has this randomized fury property, whatever, it could go up to 6 in fury. So you could do anywhere between 4 damage and this 8 damage. And it'll just randomly choose in between. So again, this would be a pretty rare weapon. It would probably have some kind of enchantment to do it this way. But then as far as criticals, we would have over here somewhere, there is basically just a critical chance. So this is a 1% chance of doing a critical. Maybe this would be a little bit higher, so 5%. And then what is my bonus damage? So this would just be 1. I think for this weapon, because we're making it seem a little more cool, I would probably set it to somewhere between 2 to 4 bonus damage. So basically this, on top of whatever else I'm doing with my fixed damage or randomized damage in that range, I would have a 5% chance of doing 2 more damage. This 2 damage is done in the this category where it says primary type. So your critical damage is only ever going to be in one type. And every weapon will I mean, usually a hammer will be, its primary type will be crushing. A lot of times, if this were a normal knife, it would just have pierce here. There would be no second damage type, so it would just be primary type piercing. It does 4 piercing, and its maximum is also 4. So this is just fixed at 4, period. But then it would have a critical chance over here. It might have that same critical chance there. So it could do 2 additional piercing 5% of the time. And then this is where I would just, the combo here just references this other sheet. So combo much faster 2 would be basically this. So it speeds up over the course of 2 strikes. So, and obviously I'd have to script additional properties for that. But anyway, so now we're 6 minutes after. Any other questions? Maybe, maybe not. Okay, I'll shut this thing down. I'm getting hungry. It's dinner time, sleeping time. Well, not yet, but it definitely, like, daylight savings time just screws me up so bad. Like, I don't know when I want to sleep and wake up. Yeah, no problem. It's I feel like I got less done than I wanted to on this stream, but pretty productive to think through these things. You guys gave me some really good ideas for a few of these icons. So, yep. Well, actually, you guys, someone said always choose sleep, and you guys don't want me to sleep because then I get more done if I never sleep. Um, and yes, I will tell everyone to stop being sick. I will take 5 pounds of vitamin C to their house. Yeah. Okay, so I will talk to you guys again next week, 3 p.m. CST, not on daylight savings. And yeah, so I don't know if I try to like look into the camera, which is at this weird angle at the end to say bye. Since you can't see my face the entire time, I'm hiding down here. Probably just need to fix the angle on that. But anyway, talk to you guys later.